It is that time of the year again, ladies and gentlemen. The Game Awards is upon us, and regardless of the amazing memes that we get from it every single year, be it certain people dunking on certain games, people making the stupidest signs to put up and tell people to hurry the F up, regardless, the Game Awards always brings us together so that we can fight online between ourselves and say, no, my game is better than your game, when in reality, every nomination is literally just our opinions. But regardless, it still brings in a lot of money. A lot of people like to talk about their next projects coming up, and we should be seeing a lot of stuff that happens in 2025. But as we approach this magnificent day when it comes to the awards, we got this interesting little updates for the Game Awards. And if we take a look here on the Game Awards website, it talks about your typical stuff of, voting outlets, why don't fans 100% select the winners, yada yada stuff that we all have seen before. But there's this interesting one right here because it talks about our DLC expansion packs and remakes/remasters eligible. And oh boy, the internet has been having a grand old time doing exactly what the internet does. Memes galore and everything in between. So what exactly has been changed? Well, let's go and talk about this real quick. As it states right here, our DLC expansion packs and remakes/remasters eligible. The Game Awards aims to recognize the best creative and technical work each year, irrespective of the format that the content's release. Expansion packs, new game seasons, DLC, remakes, and remasters are eligible in all categories if the jury deems the new creative and technical work to be worthy of a nomination. Factors such as the newness of the content and its price/value should be taken into consideration. Now, the big reason that this is making kind of headlines right now, essentially, is that DLC expansion. I'm going to get into the remakes and remasters here in a second because I think those being lumped together is a little bit of a disservice. But the DLC expansion, what DLC has released this year in 2024 that could potentially either boop a game from something like Game of the Year or other categories? If your answer was the Elden Ring expansion, you'd be correct. And that is literally what everyone is talking about, going like, okay, look, great expansion and everything, but Elden Ring won back in 2022 already. Yes, it's already been 2 years since that game got nominated and won Game of the Year. Is it really fair to push a game from 2024 potentially out of the running for something like Game of the Year because the DLC just happened to release this year? What does that say going forward? Should people just, expect that to expansion for, say, Red Dead Redemption 3 or GTA 6 or insert game here can just simply win Game of the Year because it just happened to release the expansion at the time of that year and everything? And a lot of people are, for the most part, not okay with this. They're kind of just like, oh, this kind of just defeats the purpose. I mean, again, we stated beforehand that the Game Awards, it's literally just a popularity contest. It is literally just people's opinions. And when certain games win or certain things win in particular categories and everything, it's because it brings in money and advertisements and all that stuff. I mean, if you guys remember last year, the best-selling game of 2023 was Hogwarts Legacy. Surprisingly, that was absent from the entire Game Awards. So, granted, that had its own drama in the background and everything, but regardless, I definitely see that potentially happening with a couple of games this particular year. So, the whole DLC expansion thing for Game of the Year or any of these listings, unless it's in a particular category like best add-on or best DLC or best continued content or something like that, I think DLCs can easily go into there. But anything else, especially Game of the Year particularly, I don't think a DLC should be nominated for that. And then the fact that they lump in remakes and remasters, I feel like I've been singing this tune for the longest time, ever since remakes. The whole term remake is just a sour word in a lot of people's minds because they try to lump it together with remasters and everything, right? You have the remaster of Horizon Forbidden West, and then people will put that on the same level as a remake like Resident Evil 4 or Final Fantasy 7 remake projects. Those are vastly different. They are vastly different. So to just lump remakes and remasters together, I don't particularly like that. I hope that they maybe expand on this a little bit, and I really hope that a DLC expansion is not able to push a game out of certain categories where it should be rightfully deserved because that's the only year it's releasing. But I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen. Lemon, I want to get your quick personal thoughts before we get into what we personally think should be in the running for something like Game of the Year. What are your thoughts on this when it comes to DLC expansions and then also the remake and the remaster take on it?
I pretty much are in line with you. Insert Elden Ring 2024. But it really probably shouldn't be. I mean, I think, as you mentioned, remake versus remaster, I think we need to kind of take a step back and realize remaster is like the re-release of Star Wars with a better THX soundtrack, whereas a remake would be a full-on brand new movie with brand new actors. Right. They're two different things and should be treated as such. The problem is it gets conflated because people like to say, oh, this is a remake when they just slap new textures on it.
Right.
And that's not really, those people generally are publishers and marketers trying to push people to buy games because that's their job, pushing people to buy
exactly
games.
It's all marketing at that point, right? It's kind of like when we saw the quote-unquote remake for The Last of Us Part 1, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So whereas most people I think would say it is mostly a remaster with some technical stuff added that was not in the original, but a full overall remake, no, I wouldn't call that. Whereas again, you take something like the Final Fantasy VII remake project, go look at 97 Final Fantasy VII and what it is now. You tell me that's just a simple remaster? No. You're crazy at that point. Okay?
Oh, I think you're changing genres practically too. I mean,
you are. Oh, you absolutely are. I mean, just looking at the gameplay itself. I mean, you had a turn-based RPG in the original, and now you've definitely swung more into the action RPG side of things. Is personally what I would say. And you can love both of them regardless. I personally like both systems. That's perfectly fine. But to simply call what we are doing now with the Final Fantasy VII Remake project, to simply call that it's the same level of a remake/remaster as, again, The Last of Us Part 1, Horizon Forbidden West, or not Forbidden West, but Zero Dawn. Like, come on, that's a disservice. That really is right there.
Yeah.
So with that being said, though, Lemon, what are your top 6 picks for this year? Because a lot of people, I've been seeing it across this entire year, and I absolutely hate it. People saying there's no games releasing, the game is dead, blah, 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 blah. Your typical, trying to get farming rage clicks and everything like that. 2024 has actually been a really good year for gaming. There have been a lot of good games this year. So I want to ask you, what are your top 6 picks for game of the year that you think will be there? And what would you like to see win in the end?
All right, so I think our lists are going to be pretty same in the top 3. I think in any order, it'd be Metaphor, Astrobot, and Final Fantasy VII. I think those are just guaranteed shoo-ins. After that, though, is a bit more choppy, a bit more, it's loosey-goosey, you don't entirely know. I kind of went a bit more indie with it. I put Balatro, Animal Well, and then my last one, I think it was like a Dark Horse or just kind of really unknown. It's a 3-way tie between Like a Dragon, Black Myth Wukong, and Stellar Blade. Now, I would much prefer Like a Dragon being higher up, but I just feel like it's the Yakuza / Like a Dragon series. It's always been snubbed. So, in terms of what I think should win, I am putting my money on Metaphor. I really, really like it.
I can see that. Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah. And like we said, when it comes to these Game of the Year lists, whether it's on YouTube or actual at the Game Awards and everything, it's just opinions, people. That's all it is in the end. It's been that way since the beginning of gaming, essentially. But I will say, though, from my personal top list, your first 3 are exactly what I think most people's top 3 lists are. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Astrobot, and Metaphor. Those are easily the first 3. And then trying to go into kind of the more side things, I think Animal Well is a strong contender for this year. It did extremely well. I think, personally for me, I know a lot of people are probably going to say no, or it's not even close to it. I think Stellar Blade was actually a really good game. Do I think it wins it? No, I don't think it does. But I think at least getting nominated, I think it's worth it. It's actually a very fun game and everything. And it's actually a pretty good challenge. So if you haven't played it, go play it. I don't think Black Myth Wukong gets nominated, especially because it kind of got treated similar to how Hogwarts Legacy was, especially with some of the reporting around it. I think Black Myth Wukong deserves to be nominated for certain categories, like Best Action Game, Best Art Direction, or Design, potentially, in terms of how the game looks. I think there's no denying that it looks really nice and everything, but I don't think it's Game of the Year contender, essentially. So my other final game to put on there, personally, is I think Yakuza / Like a Dragon 8 could actually hit it.
Yeah.
I really do think so. It's a good game. It really is a good game. I think the unfortunate downside for Yakuza, unfortunately, and we're going to see this 100% in the RPG category, is it just got surrounded by other this year, 2024, is the year of the RPG. Yeah. Like, it is, like, just looking at my, whether it's PlayStation playtime, if I potentially break that down bit by bit, or looking at Steam or anything, there are just so many RPGs this year. And like, it is absolutely ridiculous. So I don't think, again, that Like a Dragon will win or anything, but I personally would like to at least see it on the list to get a nominee. I think it deserves it. It's a great game, and it does a lot of things well. So I think that, for me personally, would be my top 6 right there. Now, what would I like to see win? Personally, for me, I've been saying it for a long time. I think Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was just an amazing game. As a runner-up, though, I would easily say Metaphor. Metaphor is a fantastic game. It's just so long, and I still haven't beaten it yet because, again, like Metaphor comes out, and then all of a sudden, 2 weeks later, we've got Dragon Quest coming up, and I was like, God damn it, with the RPGs already. Great for value and everything, because I'm gonna be able to play those games for a long time. But damn, it takes it out of you after a while.
It's a commitment. It's a commitment.
It is a commitment, especially with something like Dragon Quest, where that is like old school RPG as old art school RPG can be. I mean, oh man, great game. Go buy it. Absolutely worth it. But damn, it's some strict competition right there. So that's personally where I think, though, that hopefully the awards are going to be. We'll have to wait and see, though. So I do want to ask you guys right now, though, what are your personal Game of the Year picks going to be? What do you think would win / what do you want to win? And overall, this last little ruling about DLC expansion packs and remakes and remasters, what are your overall thoughts on it? And please try to break apart the remakes and remasters, because I feel like that term gets just kind of tossed around loosey-goosey, and there are people who will try to say this is a remaster when it is a remaster, but then also try to use remaster on a game that is clearly not a remaster, or they try to say that a remaster is a remake when in reality it's just a remaster. So I know that little tongue twister right there was not exactly easy to follow potentially, but regardless, let us know all your thoughts down below in the comments. And we'll just have to wait and see. We're expected to get the list here very, very soon in terms of what the actual nominees will be. Are we right? Let us know down in the comments below. We'll have to wait and see.